Hi, good evening, folks. Thanks for coming out. The time is now 6 p.m. I call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the Oconee County Council. Today is December 3rd, 2024. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Well, good evening, dearest Father. Thank you for this night. Thank you for this day that you've given us to live and move and have our being and do good work. It's a gift. Let us not take it for granted that we have these opportunities like tonight to do business for the citizens of this county. And so I pray that you, in your love for them and us, would guide the decision-making, help us to be quick to hear, slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to anger. Just pray that your will will be done. And in your name I pray. Amen.
Mr. Hart, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have approval of minutes from the November 19th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconds. Any comments or changes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Thanks, 5A.
We have county attorney comments. Mr. David Root.
I do not have any, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
No comments, Mr. Root. Thank you. Now we have county administrative comments. Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One, this is the last normally scheduled council meeting of the year. Wishing everyone a happy holiday season and a very Merry Christmas. But for those who do wish to join us, we do have a special meeting this coming Friday at 9 a.m. Just so far, 3 items on that agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. Next, we have a proclamation. Okay, it's proclamation 2024-08. A proclamation honoring Keowee Fire Commissioner Dr. Don S. Chamberlain for his 20 years of service. Whereas Dr. Donald S. Chamberlain, a father of 2 children, grandfather and great-grandfather, is a retired board-certified radiologist, U.S. Army veteran, Eagle Scout, and engaged volunteer. And whereas Dr. Chamberlain graduated from Northwestern University Medical School in 1960 with a medical degree in radiology, going on to serve in the United States Army as a captain from 1964 to 1966, then establishing his career as a radiologist from 1966 to 1988 in South Bend, Indiana. And whereas Dr. Chamberlain, who has resided in Keowee Key since 1988, was instrumental in the creation of the Keowee Key Fire Department in 1994 and the establishment of the Keowee Fire Tax District, serving consecutively since 2003 as one of the 5 original Keowee Fire Commissioners. And whereas Dr. Chamberlain will conclude his service as a Keowee Fire Commissioner on December 31st, 2024, where his contributions from 20 years as a Commissioner will leave a lasting legacy. And whereas Dr. Chamberlain is revered and respected by both his peers on the Commission as well as the men and women of the Keowee Fire Department for his years of service to both the Fire Department and the citizens of the Keowee Fire District. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby recognize Dr. Donald S. Chamberlain for his 21 consecutive years of leadership and service as a Commissioner on the Keowee Fire Commission and to the citizens of Oconee County.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
We don't get many of them, I'll take that.
Chief?
Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we should have done.
Chief, you want to get one?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
If I may, I would just like to thank you very much. Thank the county council for creating the ordinance in the first place and helping us guide through all the issues that fire departments have had over the years. You guys do a great job. I really appreciate it. This is a surprise. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have public comment session. As a reminder, you have 5 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, I will hold up a yellow warning sign, 5-minute mark, hold up a red stop sign. I'd like to encourage you to please keep your comments on topic for county business. And if you've not been here before, spoke before, it's not an out and back. We'll have a public comment session, then at the end, if you have questions, the council can answer it, we'll have a council member comment session, so.
Mr. Jason Boyle?
Thank you for having me again. I would like to start this with a couple requests. I haven't made any requests of you guys yet. These are simple requests. I would like you to stop praying before meetings. I think to be a Christian, it takes a necessary level of sacrifice. You have to have a disconnect to how much you value your own freedom compared to what's right and what's righteous. And when you hold on to your own freedom too much, and your own comfort too much, and your own sense of security too much, it's hypocritical to pray in such a public way, from the way I see it. My second request is that you stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I love my country. But saying the pledge while you turn your back to the flag, no, that's inappropriate. The U.S. Constitution, I believe, is one of the most incredible documents ever written in world history. And this county does not respect the U.S. Constitution. So I believe you should stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance at these meetings. Now, I would like to talk about something I just learned about in Oconee County. I believe that you can judge a people by how it treats its disabled people, how it treats its citizens, and certainly how it treats its criminals. And both things, of course we want to have sympathy and empathy, but when we let criminals walk free, unprosecuted, because they've earned favoritism with the hierarchy, like the Oconee County Sheriff's Department, that's not right. I want to talk about the story of John Towery. I just learned this. A sex trafficker. He was abusing children in Oconee County. The worst heinous of crimes. He was an Oconee County sheriff, right? He worked for the deputy's department. I don't know his exact position, and I'll get better versed on this. I actually just learned about this today. He was sentenced to 2 years of home arrest and 5 years of probation. Do you know what happens to child molesters when they're sent to jail? I spent time in the Oconee County Jail. You wouldn't put a child molester in general population there, because what would happen would be justified. The proper treatment of a child molester. That's what would happen in the jail system, and I think you should. I think you should find those child molesters and put them in there and let them meet their fair fate, determined by the hands of man and judged by God after. You let this man go. A child molester gets 2 years of home probation because he worked for the Oconee County Sheriff's Department? And you expect the citizenry of Oconee County to trust the sheriff in any way? These are not trustworthy people. These are not trustworthy people. I made a new friend in the last week. A man by the name of David Hammond. Wow. This is an incredible story, and what a phenomenal man, and what a diligent man. They make sure that there's a picture painted of you that you can't be trusted, so that every time the police comes to your house, they peck away a little bit until they say, look at this history. Well, you know what? David Hammond did something incredible. He recorded every single one of those instances over years of time. A phenomenal documentary is what he has. And I believe it shows that he is actually a very kind-hearted and caring man that should be embraced by this community. Maybe he doesn't fit your mold. We talked about that before. The mold of what it means to be a good Oconee County citizen, right? You have to have enough money and live on the lake. Or else, you probably don't belong in this room right now. You just wouldn't fit in. David Hammond has been criminalized by a corrupt sheriff's department. It is time to start holding these men accountable. It's not just me. It started being me, and I knew when it started as me there would be more. And they're coming out of the woodwork. We will find more. We have other families that want to come and testify for you. David Hammond's supposed to be here in a minute with his autistic son. And if you would understand the challenges that go along with this situation, I hope that if he does show up a little late, you still give him the time to speak. I believe you all need to hear what he has to say. And I'm telling you, as Jason Boyle, I will testify to the character of this man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all.
Next is Mr. David Hammond.
Is anyone else? Okay. Next we move to council member comment session.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tonight is the last regular scheduled meeting for Mr. Julian Davis. Julian's served 8 years on county council. He led us through COVID. He led us through COVID. He led us through tornado. He's worked beside Amanda, handing out water after the tornado, moving wood. He's used a backhoe in Utica to help people. He's been an example of a good council member and a good friend. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other comments?
Don't do it right now.
Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinances. We have first reading of several ordinances. We'll start with ordinance 2024-26, an ordinance establishing the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District for fire protection, establishing the Corinth-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District Commission, and other related matters.
So moved.
Second. A second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
All right, now we have ordinance 2024-27, an ordinance to supplement ordinance 2024-05, which appropriated and authorized the expenditure of $56,000 of funding under the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for the Seneca Library ADA ramp project by appropriating an additional $90,173.50 so that the total appropriation and authorization for expenditure for the Seneca Library ADA ramp project equals $146,173.50 and other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, second by Mr. Elliott. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask, does anybody in here can answer this? Is it gonna take $90,000 more to finish this ADA ramp?
Mr. Chairman, and,
Ms. Brock.
Mr. Mize, thank you, that's an excellent question. It has not begun because the bids came in. The bid that we received, we've asked to hold for council approval for the additional fund. As you know, the Seneca Library ADA facility, the ramp for the facility is on the rear side of the building, and the parking is not adequate for ADA compliance. So this change for the ADA compliant entry into the library, we had an estimation before we put it out to bid, and this is what the bid amount came back to.
So it's not only just the ramp, it's the entry area?
That's correct.
Okay.
I got a question, maybe a little stupid, but, is this gonna go to the, over to the, railroad track and back at, one point?
Mr. Hart, I don't believe there's any such thing as a stupid question, but I appreciate that. We too were a little surprised at the bid price coming back in. Apparently, that's just a market price for the construction for the necessary materials and labor to make this ADA compliant. But if it does make its way to the railroad track, I'll call you.
Any other comments or questions or concerns?
Yeah, in my opinion, the council should look at building another Seneca Library before I spent money on this, because I would think in the next 3 to 5 years, the best money that you could spend would be to build another facility. You know, there's a lot of improvements that need to be made over there. We've made some in the past few years, but it's been on and off about that way. And to me, I think there could be a partnership between the county and the city to build a new facility that would serve the citizens a lot better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brock, so this will be December 31st, 2024. Is that the deadline to spend all this AR?
So, Mr. Elliott, that's a good question too. This particular tranche of funding came from what is considered the tribal funds, which is part of the ARPA allocation, but does not have the same deadline designation as the ARPA funding
Okay.
did.
Any other comments, thoughts, questions?
I mean, personally, I think you could also not only do a library, but maybe even a tax payment facility or a tag office style, would be a dual facility. So but that's for somebody else to look at.
Make another comment. I like this, C on there where it's talking about that the county may discontinue this at any time for certain reasons. I think that's a good option to keep open.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Next we have ordinance 2024-28, an ordinance amending chapter 10 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only, affecting a limitation on certain emergency powers and designating the emergency management director as the primary point of contact for the county with other jurisdictional authorities and other matters related thereto.
So move.
Motion, second. Any discussion, thoughts, comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to this, that if you look at, let me get my numbers here. It's in section 10-275, and it's, item, comes under item 3, Bravo 9, which says, we've already revised it to delete the firearms, explosive, and combustibles piece out of it. But it also goes on to say the suspension or limitation upon the sale, dispensing, or transportation of alcoholic beverages. and I move that we delete that entire statement. And the reason I say that, during some times of crisis, I guess some folks go to alcohol for a little bit of relief, depending on how bad it is, but I have seen during COVID, people buying grain alcohol and using it to make antiseptics, making hand sanitizer out of it. So if you limit that, I just don't think it's right. And I also believe that if we left this in here, if a person is relying on this particular business for his income, then you're limiting him also during the time of crisis or emergency. So I make a motion that we delete that entire step 9.
All right, motion to delete step 9 from the ordinance.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion on the motion? All right, so all in favor of, Mr. Mizes' amendment?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so the amendment passed, so now we're back to the main motion. Any discussion on, further discussion on ordinance 2024-28? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I don't have it in front of me to look at, so, on his change to that, so, because that's what you're voting on, correct?
Well, we voted on the amendment, and then we just voted on the main motion.
So not the amended motion.
That's correct. If you would like to back up, can we back up?
It's the main motion as amended
That's right.
right now. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's what you're,
The
that's,
main motion now as amended with his amendment.
right, that's what you're right,
That's correct.
that's fine. Go forward, let's move on.
All right, now we have resolution. We have one resolution. This is resolution 2024-19, a resolution to declare the results of the special election held November 5th, 2024, in relation to the creation of the proposed Cornish-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District for fire protection and its governing commission.
So make the motion.
I have a motion, Mr. Elliott, second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next we have discussion items. We'll start with the local aid tax recommendations for Oconee County PRT Commission for $74,380. Local aid tax available balance, including encumbrances as of November 1st, 2024, is $814,089.94. If all grants projects approved, new balance will be $739,709.94. It is staff's recommendation that the council approve of the aid tax grant recommendation presented.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
I do have one question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Miles.
I noticed, we're gonna fund 10 fishing tournaments. And I know, and I'm not a fisherman, so I know most of them are catch and release, but is there a program where we ever restock or somewhat restock Lake Huey?
We don't.
Hmm?
We do not,
Okay,
from the county standpoint.
it's just a question.
Any other comments, statements, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Now we have one 2023 Ford F-350 4x4 from the Department of Emergency Services in the amount of $52,769. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget $52,769. Project cost $52,769. Balance of $0. Funding is from the Emergency Services Capital Equipment / Vehicle Fund, that's 335 fund. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2023 Ford F-350 from Spartanburg Ford of Spartanburg, South Carolina, in the amount of $52,769.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion seconded by Mr. Miles. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we have 2025 Expedition Max 4x4. It's for the Emergency Services Department. The amount is $57,000 even. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget $57,000, project cost $57,000, balance of $0. Funding from Emergency Services Capital Equipment / Vehicle Fund 335 and Radiological Support and Direct Aid Grant. It's the staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2025 Ford Expedition Max from Santee Automotive of Manning, South Carolina, in the amount of $57,000.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Yes, sir. I notice here, we're gonna get, Duke Power is gonna donate, $30,000 on this, vehicle.
Yes, Mr. Hart, that's correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have procurement number ITB 24-05. It's hose testing for emergency services. The amount is $49,300. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2024-2025 budget process. Budget is $49,300. Project cost $49,300. That leaves a balance of $0. It is staff's recommendation that council, one, approve the award of bid ITB 24-05 hose testing for emergency services to Mill Dam Enterprises Incorporated of Canton, North Carolina, in the amount of $49,300. And second, to authorize the county administrator to renew the bid for up to 4 one-year periods, provided services are satisfactory and does not exceed future year's approved budget amount.
So moved.
Have a motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hart, any discussion?
Did you notice how many hoses they gonna test?
Yeah, 17,000 feet of it.
That amounts to about 3 miles, a little bit better than 3 miles. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next we have council committee reports. We have one, that's Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee by Mr. Miles. That meeting was on November 19th, 2024.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It was a regular commission meeting for Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting, and like the chairman said, we met on November the 19th. Says that November the 19th, 2024, Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting discussions were held regarding revisions to the Emergency Management Division of the Code of Ordinances, ending with a unanimously approved motion to direct the county attorney to make these revisions as approved by the committee and bring to full council for consideration of approval. The committee also discussed the county's response to Hurricane Helene and approved scheduling a Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee workshop during the first quarter of 2025 to have a post-disaster response review to evaluate what improvements need to be made to disaster response going forward. Direction was given by the committee to the county attorney to draft an ordinance for the newly created Carr-Rent-Shiloh Special Tax District for fire protection to be presented at tonight's council meeting for first reading. The council then granted Mr. Durham permission to work with the county attorney to review and revise the Oconee County Fire Service Advisory Commission ordinance to then be brought back for consideration of approval. Committee and staff then traveled to the Clemson Health Clinic in Walhalla with the Director of Clemson Rural Health, Mr. Ron Gimble, for a tour of the second floor, which now houses archived Oconee County records for various departments. The clinic is requesting an expansion of their services to the second floor. After returning to chambers, the committee approved a motion to direct staff, along with elected and appointed officials, to compose a plan for relocation and/or destruction, if legally indicated, of records that are currently housed on the second floor of the Clemson Health Clinic in Walhalla, and to bring those plans back for full council for consideration of approval. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mize. Next, I need a motion to enter executive session for 3 items. First one is to receive legal advice and discuss potential litigation related to code enforcement. Second is to receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter related to Project GALT/Books for Less. And third is to discuss contractual and personnel matter related to the county attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Come back from executive session?
Second?
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
There's no actions that need to be taken following executive session. I have a motion to adjourn.
Make motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Thirty-four as